Well, you're probably wondering, what's this big box sitting on the table? Today we're going to do a product review on something I've been talking about that I want to try out and let y'all know how this works out. You know, on some of the amps I've said, if you don't have a lot of bass, instead of spending a boatload of money on bigger transformers or other things to try to resolve the problem or giant speakers, go pick up a little powered sub. Well, we're going to try exactly that. I picked up one of these little, what is this? It's a SUB1010 powered subwoofer from ELAC, and I picked this model for a couple of reasons. It's nice and compact. It's one of the smaller ones on the market. It was $129 on Amazon. It's gotten great reviews from some folks on YouTube that have a lot more sound testing equipment than I do for testing speakers. And they have said in the under $200 price point that this is one of the best performers, the most linear. And we all know we love linear stuff with our tubes, so I felt like this was probably going to be a good combo to try. It also doesn't have overpowering bass because we're not trying to like do the thundering, cinematic, booming bass. We're just trying to fill in below 80 hertz where some tube amps and speakers struggle. So let's get to the unboxing. We haven't opened this thing up yet, so give me a second to cut the tape. Got a couple of staples we have to deal with. One staple. So, instructions. I found products like this. It's easier to turn the box over. And go like that. And then go ahead and peel that off. Stand it up. And there we go. Let me cut the power cord out of its little wrapper. I find it comical sometimes they package these power cords better than they do the products. And there we go. So, first thing I noticed, it's got a kind of faux wood grain finish that is very similar to what Klipsch puts on their speakers, so it's probably going to match well, even though I may not be putting it anywhere near my current speakers. Got a little grill here that comes off quite easily. And then we got our front firing speaker here. And as you can see, the cabinet's not a lot larger than the speaker itself, which is really nice if you've got a small apartment or a smaller house like I do where you don't have a ton of room. And then on the back here, we'll go over. This is the main reason that I wanted to try this one, is it's got high level inputs. And that means we can just run a couple of wires from our speaker outputs on our amp over to the sub, and we don't have to try to deal with a preamp or an amplifier that may or may not have a sub out or even multiple outputs. especially if you have an integrated tube amp where you have the volume controls built into the amplifier. If you don't have like a RCA jack pre-out, then every time you change the volume on your amplifier, you have to go over and change the volume on your subwoofer. And obviously that's not ideal. So the other thing it does, it has got a volume control, it has a crossover adjustment, it has the phase 180 back and forth, it has the power. Another really nice feature it has an auto on feature where when it senses a signal coming in, it turns itself on. So if you decide to put this, I'm probably going to be putting this like almost not on the complete other side of the room, but kind of behind where I'm sitting to start with, to try and see how that works and gives a little more three-dimensional sound to my listening space. And I'm planning on running this at really low volumes, just enough to kind of fill in a little bit that bottom end. And so having this auto on feature is going to be really nice. And of course it does have RCA jacks. So you can hook it up to a sub out, which I'm planning on doing on my little preamp project. And so if I do it like this, like I'm planning on my preamp, we're probably going to cut everything at around 100 hertz and send 100 hertz and below to this, and then send the 100 or 80 hertz or so up to the tube amp. And then the tube amp and the other speakers don't have to even try to deal with the low frequency stuff. And we may play around with that crossover point, but until then, I love that I can just hook some speaker outs to these terminals and be able to use this thing without having any kind of complicated sub out, preamp out, tape monitor jacks, whatever that you would normally have to have. So I think that's kind of it for the unboxing. The next step is going to be plugging this thing in and wiring it up and listening to it for a few days and seeing how I like this little guy. I think this might be a really nice addition to my sound system, and I want to play around with it too with my little 6BM8 amp, with my little Clips Icon speakers that really don't have much bass, and see if it perks up that system into something that sounds really nice. It likely could. So anyway, that's kind of going to be it for this segment of the video, and I'll come back in a day or two with the next half of this video and tell you about my listening impressions.